Hello, my name is Emma, and today I'm going to be talking a little bit about Library Appreciation Week and sharing with you guys a recent library haul, which is also the books that I plan to read in the month of April. If you are unaware, April 8th to April 14th is Library Appreciation Week, or I've also seen it referred to as National Library Week, and it is essentially a yearly time for us to appreciate all the good that libraries do in our communities. The theme for this year's Library Appreciation Week is Libraries Lead, because libraries themselves lead to such amazing opportunities for their patrons, and they have definitely led me to some really wonderful places. I think libraries are so awesome. My local library has been an influential part of my life since before I can even remember. From being a kid and spending hours in the children's section or participating in their summer reading challenges, being a teen and taking classes on things like bracelet making and cake decorating or volunteering at some of their events, to being an adult and really having my love for reading restart through my local library and now donating books to them every couple of months. My library is so special to me, and I'm so grateful for the influence it's had on my life. And especially as somebody who does have a voice on the internet specifically related to the book community, I really wanted to spread some awareness for Library Appreciation Week, show my gratitude for all that they've done for me and millions of other people throughout history. So in honor of Library Appreciation Week, I really wanted to extend that to the entire month of April, so I decided all throughout April I'm going to only be reading library books. Personally, this isn't really a challenge for me. I already read consistently about 3 to 4 books from my library every single month. I talk about Overdrive all the time, but I'm going to continue to do so because it is a really convenient and wonderful service. Overdrive is an app where you can connect to your local library's digital collection, and you are able to rent ebooks and audiobooks for free. So Overdrive, I don't know if it's specifically to the US, but I know that there is a BorrowBox in the UK. I spoke with a Dutch viewer once who told me that there is an app called Storytel that has English and Dutch books, so I'm sure that this is something that extends across the world. So if you are interested in checking out your library's digital collection, totally go in and ask your librarian if there are any apps that connect to their collection, because I think it is so awesome. I use it every single day of my life, and I'm so grateful that I'm able to contribute to my local library. I can't say for sure that I will get to every single book this month, and based on how much I've been reading lately, it's very possible that my April wrap-up will have more books from the library that aren't included here. Just as a note, as the majority of books in this video are ebooks and audiobooks, I am holding up my personal copies of this book, but I'm really intending on reading exclusively copies of library books this month, so it's just for the video. Additionally, 4 out of these 7 books are adult books. Who am I? I'm going to start with the audiobook. So the first audiobook that I got on Overdrive is one I'm currently listening to, and that is Dark Places by Gillian Flynn. Gillian Flynn, I don't know the proper way to pronounce it. Dark Places follows a woman named Libby who is the sole survivor of a massacre that involved her entire family, and when she was a little girl, she testified against her brother as the murderer. Decades later, as Libby really has not gotten her life together, she's contacted by a man that represents an organization called a Kill Club, where people who are obsessed with true crime and murderers are able to convene, and he offers Libby the chance to give them information in exchange for payment to find out more about the massacre and potentially prove her brother as innocent. I'm only about an hour or 2 into the audiobook at the time of filming this, but I'm really loving it. I didn't know that this is actually a full cast recording, as it goes back in time to some of the other members of Libby's family around the time of the murder, so it's really interesting. I cannot wait to continue with it, but I'm loving it so far. And so the other audiobook that I plan to read in the month of April is Gillian Flynn's other book, Sharp Objects. I've noticed at the time of me checking out Dark Places that nobody had taken out Sharp Objects, so as long as nobody takes it out, I'm planning on reading this one as well. Our main character's name is Camille, and she has recently had a stay in a psychiatric hospital when she's given the assignment to travel back to her hometown to investigate the murder of 2 young girls. Camille has not ventured to her hometown since leaving. She's had virtually no contact with her mother or sister since then, but throughout the course of the story, she seems to identify a little bit too strongly with the victims of these murders, and she is just going to have to confront some of her own personal demons while also trying to figure out what happened to these 2 young girls. Right now, we're going to move on to the ebooks that I plan to read in the month of April through Overdrive, and the first is The Kept Woman by Karen Slaughter. If you can't tell, I'm in the mood for some adult psychological thrillers. I've read one Karen Slaughter book in the past, The Good Daughter, which I believe is her most recent release, but I really enjoyed it, and I've definitely been anticipating diving into some of her other works because she's a very accomplished author. Our main character's name is Will, and he is currently investigating the death of an ex-cop at an abandoned construction site, and his lover happens to be the new medical examiner of the county, and she discovers that a lot of the blood and evidence left at the crime scene is actually that of another young woman who has recently gone missing and may die if she isn't found soon. This case is already difficult enough as the owner of the construction site is a wealthy, powerful man that has apparently gotten off of a rape case despite Will's attempts to get him convicted for it. But in addition to this second victim and man who plays an important role in this investigation, Will's troubled past does come into play in this investigation, so it's like another situation where Will is confronting some of his personal issues while also dealing with this immensely difficult case. From my experience reading The Good Daughter, Karen Slaughter is an amazing author, and I cannot wait to dive into another one of her works. The next ebook that I'm planning on reading in the month of April is one that I currently have a hold on Overdrive, and just hopefully these two books don't overlap too much so that I have enough time to read them both. But it is Down and Across by Arvin Ahmadi. I'm giving myself some space from the adult psychological thrillers, and I feel like I'm gonna need a YA contemporary after all of these gruesome stories. Our main character's name is Scott, and he is currently at the point where he is graduating high school, but unlike his friends, he has no idea what he wants to do with the rest of his life as he has a lot of commitment issues. So he decides to travel to Washington, D.C. to seek the help of a psychologist who claims to know the way to a better life. I'm sorry, it's the secret to success, but I mean, honestly, that's kind of the same thing. On this journey in the hopes of finding himself, Scott actually meets a college girl named Fiora whose life goal is to write crossword puzzles, and Down and Across is just all about the shenanigans and wild scandals that Scott and Fiora get into as he is trying to figure out what he's going to do for the rest of his life. I've met Arvin quite a few times in the New York book scene, and I adore him, so I'm really excited to read his book, and I have high hopes that it will be the perfect fit for me. And moving on to the physical books that I currently have, the book that I'm currently reading is Hunting Prince Dracula, which is the sequel to Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. This is a YA historical fiction series following a girl who is interested in forensics. The first book, Stalking Jack the Ripper, is obviously about Audrey's interest in the murders going on in London in the 1800s, and Hunting Prince Dracula takes place as Audrey and her companion named Thomas are traveling to Romania to attend a school for forensics when people believe that Vlad the Impaler has returned, aka Prince Dracula. Personally, I did not love Stalking Jack the Ripper. I'd probably consider it one of my least favorite reads of 2017. There wasn't anything bad about it, it just did not blow me away, and I was kind of undecided if I was going to continue with this series because historical fiction really is not my thing. But I heard Sarah from Sarah Without an H say that although she also did not enjoy the first book, she really liked Hunting Prince Dracula, and that was enough to sell me because I totally trust Sarah's recommendations. You should totally go check her channel out. But I have started it, and I wouldn't say I'm fully engaged yet, but I'm very hopeful that things are going to pick up and it's going to just totally grasp me and hopefully turn out to be a really good read. The next physical book I'm planning to read in the month of April is another recommendation I actually got from Sarah Without an Age, and it seems to be a pretty well received book, and that is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I have to say, I originally thought that this was an adult mystery thriller, which is what piqued my interest. I was like, oh, like she has 7 husbands, like I guess they all mysteriously died and we have to find out why, but I'm apparently wrong. So our main character's name is Evelyn Hugo, and she is a retired Hollywood starlet who has decided to share the secrets of her scandalous life, so she hires a writer named Monique to write her biography. Monique seems to have the polar opposite life of Evelyn. Her husband recently left her, her professional life is going nowhere, so she's hopeful that by writing Evelyn's biography, her career will really have a rebirth. So the story follows Evelyn as she reveals her glamorous and scandalous life to Monique, and Monique starts to feel a real connection to Evelyn, but nearing the end of her story, it appears that their lives may intersect in more ways than they expected. I don't know, this book seems like totally out of my comfort zone milestone. I have for sure not read anything like it in the past, but I'm very interested in it. I'm very hopeful that I will like it, and yeah, it's nice to experiment with new genres every once in a while, so I'm really looking forward to reading this one. And the final book that I am currently planning on reading from my local library in the month of April is 12 Steps to Normal by Farah Penn. This book follows a girl named Kira who is coming home after living with a relative as her father was in rehab for his alcoholism. Kira basically had to sacrifice her entire life as a part of her dad's addiction, and now she is coming home trying to repair everything that has gotten so messy over the last couple of months, while also trying to deal with her dad being sober for the first time. When I hauled this book, I had said that I have personal experience with this, as my dad is a recovered crack addict, and this just seems like it was a story that was like written perfectly for me. When I got the book, I started reading the first like 2 chapters on Amazon, and it's already really interesting to see Kira's resentment towards her father's addiction, because that's not something that I personally experienced. So I think it'll be a great time somewhat relating to the story, but also gaining some perspective on how people who have lived like me also have different experiences. I'm really excited for this. I can definitely predict that this will be like a 5-star read for me, because I just think it's going to be absolutely amazing, but I just cannot wait to read it. So that really concludes my April TBR / library haul / library appreciation week video. I definitely encourage absolutely all of you to participate in your own ways for library appreciation week, whether that is like me, planning to read more from your library, whether that's donating books, volunteering your time, participating in some of these services that are there, and definitely make sure your support extends past this week, because libraries are so awesome, they deserve more funding, and they definitely deserve the community support. In the comments below, I would love to hear one really great experience you have with your local library. I think my personal favorite would have to be volunteering for Harry Potter Day, which was the day of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows release, where I got to volunteer and help sort kids, and there was a magic show, and I won a copy of Deathly Hallows. It was a really amazing day, so I'd love to hear your experiences. But that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you soon for a new one. Bye!
Yeah.